Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome for the first time. My name is Cheryl, and today I'm here to bring you my spoiler-free review for that's not the cover. Rise of the Huntress by Joseph Delaney. This is the 7th book in his Last Apprentice series, and I loved it. I have to say this might be my favorite of the series so far. I'm hesitant to say that because I've enjoyed all of them, but this one was so good. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. Obviously, because it is the 7th book in the series, I cannot really say anything about the plot at all because that would spoil a lot of books ahead of it. But this book was so good. If you have not heard me rave about this series before, then you must be new here because I talk about it all the time. This is a series that is a YA middle grade. It is YA by this time in the series, but definitely in the beginning it was more of a middle grade series. Anyway, it is a series that follows the adventures of Tom Ward. He is an apprentice to the local spook who is a man who hunts in the dark, basically witches, demons, boggarts, things like that, things that are not pleasant, that want to harm people, essentially. He fights them, and he does this to protect the places that he lives, as well as just the general population. Although the population, despite the fact that the spook makes their, where they live habitable, the populations don't like the spook. They find him just awful, more or less. They don't like anything that deals with the dark, even if he's fighting the dark. So Tom is learning just how difficult it is to be a spook's apprentice, because not only does he have to fight the dark and just witches and demons and just all manners of nasty creatures, but he also has to deal with the ramifications of the fact that his family doesn't necessarily want to talk to him anymore and doesn't agree with what he does, or the people that he comes across in town are all afraid of him now. So it is just a fantastic series that is just, every book is so good and every book gets better and better. It is definitely a monster of the day type book. While the books do tie together, usually there is a new enemy in each one, and so it is just so good. You guys, I have no idea how Joseph Delaney does it, because I will be honest with you, where these characters live, it's called the county. Basically, it's hinted that it is in somewhere in England, because they do reference like Ireland and Greece and other countries, but they never specifically say the county they live in, so I think it's England. I could be wrong. Where they live in the county is just not a happy place. It is a very kind of bleak and dreary place. There is a war going on kind of in the background of the story. It doesn't really take precedence in the story whatsoever, but you know that's happening. And also, like I said, there's just demons and ghosts and witches, and just, it's a really dark and dreary place, yet it is not a depressing and dreary book, which I am so impressed by this author being able to create this world that is just not pleasant. It's kind of creepy, and it's just like, oh, I wouldn't want to live there. But yet you really feel for these characters, and you're just like, you're not depressed after finishing the books. Now, because if you know what I mean, where you'll read a book that's like a really depressing and really dark and dreary setting, and after the book you're like, oh, now I feel emotionally drained. I didn't feel that way reading this book, which is why I was able to just fly through it. Same with the rest of them in the series. And I will say the series definitely gets darker and darker and darker as it goes on. So this is the darkest it has been, but I know that it's only going to get worse from here. And I'm assuming the rest of the books are going to be the same way. Because like I said, despite the dreary atmosphere in the setting, he is just managed to create the story that is just so gripping, and you just are so invested in these characters and what is happening. And speaking of characters, I really like the fact that these characters are not perfect. They make decisions that are spur of the moment, they're irrational, and they're very realistic. And more than importantly, they are also morally gray characters in this that also are like, they maybe will make decisions that are kind of selfish, which is awesome, because you read so many YA books that are filled to the brim with like Mary Sue and Gary Stu style characters who are perfect in every single way, or characters who make stupid decisions, but you're like, there was no point in you making that. You just get mad at them. That wasn't the way when characters would make a decision that would be kind of spur of the moment, because for these characters, they felt like that was literally the only decision they had. They had to make it in 5 seconds flat, and it was relatable in a way that a lot of other series, I think, strive to be, but they miss the mark. But yes, I feel like I rave and rave and rave about this series so much, basically, if I have one lasting, like, impression here on book 2, I just want to get at least one other person to read the series, because it is so fantastic. I'll be honest, this is one of the few books in series in general where I can be reading it and I can, like, look down at the page number and then I'll read another, in the next hour I'll have read another 200 pages and I'm just like, what? How did that happen? Because I literally read all but 50 pages of this, like, yesterday in one day, because it is just so gripping, so easy to read. Now, at least in the edition I have, there isn't that much text per page, which helps. There are also illustrations that are really kind of creepy, but that's not the reason it's so quick to read. It's just such an interesting, gripping story, and you're just like, what is going to happen next? So, if you haven't been able to tell from this video already, if you haven't picked up this book yet, or the series yet, you need to. The first one is just called, I don't know what the first one is called. Rise of the Witch, I think? Yeah, I think it's Rise of the Witch. I will put text on the screen correcting myself while editing, because chances are I got that wrong. But yes, pick up the series if you haven't already. So anyway, that is my spoiler-free review for Rise of the Huntress by Joseph Delaney. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media, which is always linked down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!